welcome to another review from Egne. As you can see, have a new intro. Hope you all enjoy it. Took me a little bit of time to be able to create it, but I hope that everybody enjoys the animation that I am working on doing. This video intro is going to be a little bit different. We recently lost one of our Alliance members, so a short memorial video will be posted for her. And I also promised on a lighter note to the island win that I would post a short montage on that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But this video is going to be about combat and different tactics during combat to help everybody have a greater success, not only in one-on-one PvP, but also just as a vast majority, whether it's beating a whale or beating somebody that's stronger than you on a one-on-one. This video is going to be all about that. Alright, so formalities out of the way. I'll go into first what I personally like as combat tactics, and then I'll go into some others that I see that I don't really think are nearly as effective and really kind of both hurt you and your opponent. But I'll go into first what I find effective. Granted, my account is technically a whale, but I'm also going to touch on things that I see that non-whales do that are very effective tactics. So, obviously, first and foremost, the easiest tactic to use is just simply don't be garrisoned. If you're not garrisoned and you have no resources open, they have nothing to gain from hitting you, so all you're doing is wasting their stamina. Whereas you're free to hit them as much as you want. Yeah, they might force teleport you and whatnot, but you really only, have to spend 2,000 diamonds to be able to get back to wherever you were, to keep harassing them, keep making them waste stamina, etc., etc. When you get into the later game, stamina becomes the game for combat. And when you get later on with SVS and such, a lot of the people that you find unshielded are ungarrisoned, or they only have one troop garrisoned or whatnot, which leads into the next thing that I was going to say. If you're a relatively big player, having one troop garrisoned is not a bad idea. Personally, I switch between having all garrisoned and having only my pro and my unit 1 garrisoned, because your pro and your unit 1 really should be your offensive and your defensive unit. So having more than that garrisoned is really set yourself up for disaster if somebody else comes along that is stronger than you. And you can get into counters as well as far as what they're using or whatnot, but this is simply going to be for tactics in combat. Another thing that I personally like to do is goody, we can see. Okay, there you go. Say this right here is my opponent, small ass hill, so sorry about that. But when I'm in SVS and somebody is trying to run for me, what I'll do is I'll port off screen. So if you zoom all the way out like that, port off screen. So if you come here and then speed march to be able to hit them, meaning yes, you're using diamonds, using march speed ups and whatnot, but if you can hit them fast enough, usually they don't have time to react. It gives you more points, especially if they're garrisoned. Usually when somebody runs, they either have a lot of resources or they are garrisoned and they can't really take a hit. So it's a win-win situation a lot of times when somebody runs from you. So that's another thing to consider. Again, right back to what I was saying as far as your actual garrison. What I see a lot of people do, and it's smart, I do it myself, some people only keep their pro garrisoned. I personally like to keep my pro in my unit 1 garrisoned so I can attack my pro. If it's home, great. If not, my unit 1 usually can do a lot of damage as well against most people. I only have T9 loaded right now, but I mean, if I throw T10 in, you can see a drastic difference. But I usually, especially when I'm fighting hills, I usually just use T9. Very rarely will I use T10. That's only if an opponent is stronger than me. But that's a very good tactic to use. The other one that I see a lot is jump porting, which basically, say I'm sitting right here and the enemy is trying to attack me from right here. As soon as they march, I'd port over here and then immediately send towards the enemy. So a lot of times people will attack with only the pro. Everybody's pro is usually their strongest unit. So if you can catch their pro when it's out of their hill, then you have more of a chance to be able to burn them, take more resources, etc., etc. So that's also a very viable tactic. Now, the next thing, which will take some teamwork, which is probably the next viable tactic as far as combat, is rallies. Rallies are very underused in this game, and frankly, it is the easiest way to be able to take care of a whale. Because any hill, pretty much any hill, I mean, occasionally you come across a crazy whale like Coyote that can actually take rallies solo, but pretty much any whale, as long as you have a couple strong people that are in it or leading it, the way the rally mechanics work, you can't take a rally. I've lost against rallies myself many times. I've won a few, but that's usually against rather weak people that are attacking me. But you can use a rally in 2 rallies, and what we do is we set 2 dual rallies on the same opponent, and then as soon as those rallies are marching, we send a couple solo marches towards that same target, because 2 rallies and I think it's like 2 to 3 solos will force teleport that player. So that's a very viable tactic, especially on island where people try to use their hills to be able to block spots where you can build towers or whatnot. That's a very viable tactic to be able to clear them out very quickly. If you time it right, then they don't have time to be able to recover durability even if they're online. Because if you're hitting both rallies at the same time plus a couple solos, they don't have time. So that's another viable tactic. As far as fighting whales, myself included, so I'm giving away secrets that hurt me, is a whale only is limited to 400 stamina if they don't buy packs. If they buy packs, then they'll probably have anywhere from about 500 stamina, but that's about it. For fighting a whale, your biggest way to be able to beat them is to have more stamina than them. So whether it be that you are making them rally you, you're making them chase you and hit ungarrisoned hills, on the island, if you're filling up with fucking 50 people in a certain building and they're only wiping out 3 or 4 at a time, you're wasting their stamina. So for fighting a whale, your biggest weapon against them is killing their stamina. If they don't have the stamina to be able to keep hitting you, then you've won. Even if they're beating every single member in your alliance, if they don't have the stamina to be able to keep on fighting, you are winning. So you have to look at it that way is when you cannot beat somebody one-on-one, if you have a good alliance, you can beat them in other ways, because this game has limitations as far as what you can do. So if you can't beat them on the battlefield, you can beat them by outwitting them. So that's always something to take into consideration. Now, going into some of the things that I don't necessarily agree with, I don't really like doing, I wouldn't agree doing it, because I don't like to give up free kills myself. What I see some people doing is they'll move their pro down to like unit 4, and they will fill the first 3 units with, T9 or bullshit ants with no incident, no insect, no nothing, just to be able to give a buffer so that their pro march can take the remainder of hit and get the quote-unquote win. But to me, a win isn't if you're able to burn somebody, it's if you're doing the most amount of damage. So that's why I disagree with that tactic, but there is some people that will do it. I understand why they do it, but I personally just don't like giving out free kills. The other thing that I have seen people do is that they'll actually load up their troops and move the pro down to 3 or 4, but it's the same thing. Is if they're beating your pro already, your other units are just acting as a buffer, so you're giving them free kills. So I don't really agree with that tactic at all. But again, it's all up to perspective. I don't like not earning what I, can take. And I don't consider something like that as a win. Because if you're losing, say, 12 million power in a hit, but you're not burning, that's not a win to me when they're only losing, say, 3 million. That's a give and take. It's a false win at that point. So I don't like to do that. Whereas where somebody is ungarrisoned and they're killing, even if they're burning, they're killing something that the opponent has, I consider that a win, because they're taking without losing. But the main key is when fighting, you want to make sure they have no resources open, because there's always a bigger, better wolf out there. So even if you're keeping, only your pro garrisoned or other troops, or no troops at all, make sure you have no resources open. What you want to do is, if you cannot take a hit from somebody, you want to make it so it doesn't make sense for them to keep hitting you. And if they keep hitting you, then all they're doing is burning their stamina, and that's an advantage to you. For anybody that's bigger than you, that is wiping out your entire alliance, your whole goal, spread out that stamina cost so that they use all their stamina, to where you then have the advantage because your alliance has the most stamina. Anyway, it's kind of a short video, but I hope it helps as far as people's outlook on combat. There's many ways to be able to beat people in combat, and it's not always about how strong your ants are. So I really hope that this helped people, and if you have any other suggestions or anything to add to this, drop a like in the comments, drop a comment in the comments. We have our official Discord open. You're welcome to join it. I'll drop a link in it. I'm also going to, if I ever start getting paid by YouTube, the first 3 months of any earnings that YouTube actually pays to me, I will be giving in a bi-weekly drawing to members that are both subbed and in the Discord. After that, after the 3 months, I will be doing a monthly giveaway of whatever it is. It'll probably be like a quarter of the earnings or whatever, in the Discord, again, for whoever is subbed and in the Discord. So I hope that's something you guys are all interested in. Invite your friends, and hope you all like the content, and we'll see you in the next one. Ignay out.